This condo owner nearly lost a buyer who offered $100,000 more than the previous buyer, all because the owner needed 3 more months to stay in the unit after the sale was completed. But the buyer could not agree to the request. So now we are in a very tricky situation. One wrong reply from me, the buyer walks away and the seller misses out a great offer. So how did I negotiate when both sides seem stuck? So in this video, I want to show you the negotiation strategy that I used to save this deal.
Short property stories from real conversations.
By the way, I'm Gainer from Property Made Simple. I've shared over 600 property stories based on real situations. They are easy to read, relatable, and packed with insights. The links are just right below, so do check them out. By the way, let me ask you something. When you see a record-breaking price in your area, have you ever wondered how it actually happened? Is it really just as simple as the seller asking for a high price and the buyer agreeing to it? Most people think negotiation works like that. Seller wants more, buyer gives in, deal done. But in reality, that's not how real negotiation works. Now, let me give you a typical example of why so many deals are lost. Now imagine a buyer views a unit and likes it. They offer 1.5 million, but the seller wants 1.6 million. So what usually happens next? The agent simply goes back to the buyer and says, the seller is asking for 1.6 million, can you match that price? And in many cases, the buyer will reply, no, I think it's too high, and walks away. So what went wrong with this approach? There are 2 big mistakes being made here. Mistake number 1, the agent is just passing offers. And mistake number 2, the focus is only on the price. And these 2 mistakes are the biggest negotiation killers because buyers walk away when they don't feel understood. Now, we need to understand that for a buyer to offer that kind of premium, something about the unit must have met a specific set of needs, like location, timeline, conditions, or even emotions. And these are things we don't always see on the surface. Which brings me to a deal that I handled recently, where a buyer offered $100,000 more than the previous buyer, and the whole thing nearly fell apart. Because the seller needed 3 more months to stay in the unit after the sale was completed. But the buyer couldn't agree to the request. So both sides were stuck. Now, at this point, most agents would have done one of the 2 things. Either ask the buyer for extension, get rejected, and move on to find another buyer. Or hold out for a new buyer who could meet the 3 months condition. And if I did that, I would lose a genuine buyer for my seller, someone who have already made a very competitive offer. So what else could we do here? After years of experience, I've learned that successful negotiation comes down to this. Ask the right questions to uncover the real concerns. Because once you understand what both buyer and seller truly care about, you can start thinking of creative solutions to solve the problem, instead of just pushing offers around. In this case, I did 2 key things. First, I asked the buyer if they were open to increasing their offer if the seller could be flexible with the 3 months extension. Second, I worked to understand the real concern behind my seller's request. And their biggest worry was the fear of not finding their next home in time, plus the time needed to renovate it. That process alone could take more than 3 months, which meant that they could still end up having to rent a place temporarily. And that would be a huge cost for them. These were the critical insights I gathered just by asking the right questions. And with all that in mind, I took a different approach. I explained the situation to the buyer, and instead of pushing them for the extension, I negotiated for a higher price to offset the seller's potential rental costs, while still allowing the buyer to move in on time. In the end, I successfully negotiated with an additional $15,000, and both sides were ready to commit. The buyer secured the unit they wanted with no delays to their move-in timeline, and the seller chose to rent a place temporarily with extra funds to cover the cost. So, what can we learn from this? Tricky situations like this happen more often than we think. And the only way to bring both parties together is by asking the right questions and understanding their concerns, and using that understanding to guide the negotiation. And that's how we increase the chances of a win-win outcome. Alright guys, that's all I have for this video. And if you'd like to know how to handle tricky situations like this, do leave a comment below. And I'll see you in the next video.